Tonight, the Minnesota Wild take on the Dallas Stars in the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we have every angle covered with our first ever Locked On Wild playoff preview panel.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the first ever Locked On Wild playoff preview panel here on Locked On Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen every single day of the week. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Wild on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss out on any of our great playoff coverage coming up this week. Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/NHL60 and use code NHL60 for 60% off plus free shipping. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we break down every single angle of Wild Stars with the full cast of Locked On Wild regulars. Seth Topal, joined by Jaden Homuth, Zach Zeman, Alex Micheletti, and Charles Stewart. Fellas, we did it. Postseason is here. Let's just go around the room to start. What's your confidence level in this series, in the Wild's ability to make Dallas pay here? Jaden, you can start.
Man, I didn't want to draw the Stars just because of Ottinger, but I think we have the team. We'll be fine. Defensively, we're a better team, and I think we have the upper hand on goaltending. Not only just head-to-head, but we have a better backup, too, in case anything were to happen. I think we just got to neutralize speed and not try to play their game because they're way faster than us, and every time you try to match a team, it's not going to go well. But if we just stick to our defensive-minded game, I think that we could – I think the series will go 6 or 7 games regardless, but I think the Wild could win this one.
Zach, what do you think?
I think the Wild have they shouldn't be nervous and scared about going into Dallas. I mean, we've seen how this team has been able to change and adjust with losing Kirill, even Ek now. I think that, if you lose Kirill, losing Ek is going to stink again. You just losing players after players. You haven't had a full healthy roster in a little bit. But I just think this team has no reason to be unconfident. They've adjusted quite well. And I think that, it's going to be tough heading into Dallas, not having home ice. But then again, if you've adjusted perfectly throughout the remainder of the regular season, I don't think there's any reason you should be scared heading into the series.
Micheletti, where you at?
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns still because we don't know about Ek and we don't know about John Klingberg now. So there could be some guys playing more minutes than they thought or thought they weren't even going to play. And we're going to see Brock Faber make his playoff debut after only playing 2 NHL regular season games. So the kid gets thrown into the fire. So it's going to be, phenomenal first game. If the Wild can go into Dallas and sneak game 1, that changes everything because, then, you seal one on the road and you're feeling really good the rest of the way. So, it's just a lot of unknowns. I'm excited though, nervous. And this is why it's the best time of the year because you just don't know what's going to happen. Like we always talk about, a goalie can steal you a game or a series and you can ride that goalie to a Stanley Cup. So yeah, it's why we watch, and I can't wait.
Charles, what's your confidence level?
If I could say Wild in 3, I would just so Dallas leaves in Game 4, they're going to be afraid. But all eyes are going to be on Kirill Kaprizov. So Matt Boldy really needs to step up, especially goaltending and defense, sure. But I think Matt Boldy is going to need his production to be huge into the first round. I think we can beat the Stars. I know being a Minnesota fan, we can't get out of the first round for any sport ever, but I think we can do it this year. And I think we start with Game 1, even though we're terrible in Game 1s in the past. But I think we got this series.
Gentlemen, I sit here today at a 7 out of 10. If not now, when? If the Wild are ever going to win a first-round series, this is the year, because they face an opponent that has a sizable edge offensively. They face an opponent that's going to be difficult to try to slow down, and yet this Wild team has done this all season. They have found ways to beat teams that are better than them. They have found ways to overcome tremendous odds with losing players in the lineup. If not now, when? That's my big point for this series. And so I stand here a little confident. And of course, there is a very good chance that this blows up in my face, but it's Minnesota sports. It happens. If we don't win, add it to the list. What we're going to do, I have a game. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the particular players on the Wild roster. I went and got playing cards to make this happen. And so what I'm going to do, I have everyone assigned a card. So I'm just going to draw, and we're going to go around the room and go through what we would like to see from particular players in this series. And just to get it started, I'll go first. So I'm going to pick, just so that nobody thinks I'm cheating, I'm going to pick a card at random. The Ace of Diamonds.
Oh, you're cheating. You got to be cheating. Pulling an Ace of Diamonds right away.
The Ace of Diamonds is Filip Gustavsson. And rightfully so, because outside of Kirill Kaprizov, he is, I think, the second most important player in this series. Filip Gustavsson needs to keep the Wild in it and keep Dallas from gaining momentum by stacking goals together. Dallas is going to score. They're not going to be kept off the board the entire series. But what Gustavsson needs to do if the Dallas Stars do score is prevent one goal from becoming two, from becoming three, and on and on and on. That's the difference between him and Marc-Andre Fleury, is that it seems like when Fleury gets scored on, teams stack him. You get another goal in quick succession, and in a playoff series like this, you can't afford to have that happen. So Filip Gustafsson's got to put a stranglehold on momentum in this series and keep the Wild in it and just be what he's been all season. If he can do that, we got a shot. All right. Again, no cheating. Taking from the deck so that nobody thinks that I rigged this. All right. We've got the 5 of spades. 5 of spades is for, let's go with, let's let Jaden start off. 5 of spades is Connor Dewar.
Connor Dewar. Okay. I was going to actually say, I think a big X factor line this series is that fourth line with Reeves, Dewar, and Duhaime. I wanted to say the X factor player is Duhaime, but I think Connor Dewar, if I'm looking at the numbers now, Dallas is the 5th best power play in the league, and the Wild had 14 shorthanded goals this year. If Connor Dewar can help neutralize that Dallas power play, like he's been doing on the kill all year, I think he'll be huge in this series. I think regardless, that fourth line is going to play a huge role in the winner of the series. If they show up, I think the Wild can get this done. If they don't, then it's going to be really hard to stop this team. They're a fast team, but Connor Dewar on the kill is going to be really big, and he's never been looked at to be an offensive producer, a 5-on-5, but Connor Dewar, Brendan Duhaime, I think those two are going to be the biggest key players in deciding a winner in this series.
I like it. All right. Next up, Zach, you get the 6 of diamonds. 6 of diamonds is Alex Goligoski.
Oh man. Okay. Oh, it's the whole, the whole, the Klingberg's out, and it's all about this D pairing. I think Goligoski. I mean, it starts with a defensive depth. You got to be, through and through. Every playoff series you're in, the playoffs are not the regular season. It's always a battle. You have one night off in between games. I mean, I can speak on Goligoski, but when I speak about like deeper defensive players on this team, I always talk about defense as a whole. I think, there's 6 defensemen for a reason. It starts with every one of them. I think Dallas is tough. They're going to be speedy. They're going to overwhelm. It's very certain power play. I mean, we just talked about it. They're amazing on the power play. Goligoski has been that guy. He is a former Dallas Star who eliminated the Wild in clinching. Was that 2016? And he's been here before. He's a playoff guy. He's a vet, and I think it's an essential piece of this Wild team. It's off the ice too. He's been here before. I mean, people can look up to him. He's had a couple of great highlights this year, like that overtime beauty at home. I mean, I just think about that. He has what it takes. He has the experience. And I think, if he plays well, the rest of the decor is going to revolve around that. And I think it just starts with him.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point too, is that he brings that veteran experience to the postseason that guys like Brock Faber don't have. And so he's going to be able to help guide them through that as this series unfolds. All right, Micheletti, let's get you in here on this. Queen of Spades, the guy that we are not sure if he's going to be ready to play or not. He is certainly trending that way. Alex, what do you want to see from Joel Eriksson Ek?
Yeah, he is, I think, one of the two most important players in this series, along with Jonas Brodin. If he is able to play, he's going to have to neutralize Jason Robertson, Joe Pavelski, and Rupe Hintz. Try his best to make sure that top line does not score at all. Because if you can shut down that line, then Dallas becomes a little bit different team. They have to rely on guys like Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin that have been hit or miss, especially later in their careers here. So if you can try to stop Jason Robertson down, that would be just huge. He always has monster games against the Wild, and so if he can help, especially on the penalty kill too, there's not a guy like Ek on this team. He fills so many spots, on the power play, penalty kill, being their best defensive forward. So they're going to need him to win this series for sure. And if this, if the rumors are true, if he's, going to try to play through a broken bone that's in his leg, that's incredible.
Jeez.
But, these hockey players are built different. And as long as his play doesn't affect, make them worse, you don't want him out there if it's going to, hurt the team. So, I hope they're careful about it, and when he's ready to go, let him loose.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the crazy part about it too, is if I took a puck off the shin bone, you wouldn't be able to get me out of bed. Like I'd be like, you're gonna have to bring my computer in here. I'm just gonna do shows from I'm not moving. I'm not going anywhere. Yet here he is getting ready to try to suit up. Final one. I have a throw-in one that I'm gonna do before we move on. But Charles, Jack of Diamonds is Brock Faber. What do you want to see from Faber here in this series?
Simply just solid defense. I don't need him to come in and do everything. It'll be tough with his pairing because it'll be Merrill, Goligoski, or Klingberg. So we'll be asking a lot of him. But he's coming from playing meaningful games with Minnesota. Tough loss, but he's been playing meaningful games, and now he's up with the Wild. I think he's going to carry through that emotion. He's going to carry through this solid play. I think he's going to block some pucks, sweep the pucks away from Fleury if Fleury does play one of these games. Because Gustafsson's more prone to swallowing up the puck, but I think he'll be big on rebound control. I just need him to be a solid player overall and make his defensive pairing, whether it's Merrill or Goligoski or Klingberg or whoever they put next to him, just need to make them better and just keep pucks away from the goal overall.
I agree. Final one, 8 of spades. We're not going to not talk about Brandon Duhaime on this show. And so final one that we'll discuss here, we'll probably come back to this after we play a round of confident or concerned. But for Brandon Duhaime, that spark that he provides, we've seen it so many times this year, that spark that he provides when he's out there on the ice, scoring a goal. He's a high energy, high intensity kind of guy. Feed off of that. There's going to be more than a few nerves out there on the ice as this season unfolds. And so just use that energy to create big plays, whether it be shorthanded opportunities, whether it be just going and grabbing the puck from somebody on the Dallas side and leading it to a goal. Just those impact plays that can help swing a series. Just continue to do that. And you know what? I'll make a prediction too. I think Duhaime gets a goal in this series. So we'll see if he does. But we'll probably do more of this. I had cards for everybody, and obviously there are a ton of players that are going to factor into this series. But we like to kind of go at random, just try to change it up. So we'll move to concerned or confident about particular angles of this Wild team against the Dallas Stars. But first, a word from our sponsor, which for today's episode of Locked On Wild is Athletic Greens. Maybe you're like me. You want to be healthy and eat well, but it's always easier said than done. That's no longer the case with AG1. With one delicious scoop of AG1 in a glass of water each day, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It can be hard and expensive to keep track of multiple different supplements and vitamins, not to mention how hard it can be on your stomach. AG1 costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Continuing today's playoff preview panel edition of Locked On Wild. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Make sure to check out all of our other playoff content for you here today. We got a series preview episode with Kevin Gorg. We've got a crossover preview with Dane Lewis at Locked On Stars, and a history of the Wild in game ones as well. That was not very fun to record, but we tried to make it fun in a situation that the Wild don't have a ton of success in. So we're going to move to confident or concerned, and we're going to just run through the gambit of the particular areas for this team. So let's start with confident or concerned in the Wild's ability to match Dallas on offense. We'll give everybody a crack at each of these and just add in whatever you want to with either confident or concerned. Jaden, are you confident in the Wild's ability offensively to keep pace with the Dallas Stars?
I wouldn't be confident if they're going to try to replicate the Stars. Like I said earlier, I think in a series like this, you have to take over the game and make it your play style. So I think that what it's going to have to be is Dallas needing to match Minnesota's defensive prowessness, because I don't think Minnesota can keep up with the Stars. We can't just go out and score 4 or 5 5-on-5 goals a night. We have to take over defensively and make them need to match us. We can't attempt to match them. If we're going to do that, then I'm not so confident. But if we can take over and make it those 2-1 games, which are terrifying to watch, but you get the wins, that's where I'll feel more confident with this Wild team.
Zach, confident or concerned in the Wild's ability offensively to do what they need to do in this series?
I'm confident. I said this earlier, but this team has adjusted a lot, and they've shown that they can still produce offensively without their best player statistically in Kaprizov. The thing that is concerning, though, is the X return time. It's tough trying to produce an offense without Ek. He's the big net front presence. He takes all of the aggressiveness from, Jamie Benn, who literally is a bully every day on the ice. So now Jamie Benn's going to have to give it away to other guys. And I think, it's without Ek, it's going to be tough. But I, you know what I said? I said earlier is that this team has proved us wrong all year. With Kaprizov's out, this team's never going to make rumblings, and they still consistently did. So it's going to be exciting. But with Ek missing, we'll see what happens.
Alex, what do you think? Confident or concerned in the Wild's offense and their ability to do what they need to do against Dallas?
Yeah, I'm confident, but we've seen in previous playoff years where a lot of guys go on the milk carton. Yeah, last year, Kevin Fiala, where was he? He didn't he did not show up, and so they're going to need Matt Zuccarello to be on his game. He has not been on. Even before Kaprizov was hurt. So hopefully he can get an early one and get some confidence going. But I kind of like what Jaden said too, is the Wild have to make it their own type of game. Dallas being the home team is going to have last change. And so they can dictate the matchups. And so the Wild are going to have to stay out of the box, try to limit the amount of time that Jason Robertson has to be on the ice there, because that guy is just a freak of nature. He's coming off the #1 star of the week here. So we have so many unknowns right now, and the thing that doesn't scare me is Dallas's D-core other than Heiskanen. I mean, There's a bunch of guys that are journeymen, and you got Ryan Suter on the top pair, which I'll take all day. His D partner Heiskanen is amazing, but if you get Ryan Suter out there a lot, you can blow by him. And Colin Miller doesn't scare me. So some of these guys do not scare me at all. And I think the Wild's third and fourth lines too, if they get some ice time, I think they have, I think the depth is there more so than Dallas. I think Dallas has the best line in hockey, but the Wild overall, I think, have a little bit more depth. We'll see though. It's the playoffs.
It is. And yeah, it does take Ryan Suter a little bit longer to get from 0 to 60 these days. Actually, it's more like 0 to 35, but
no quick trip meals anymore.
Trip's the best. Charles, are you confident or concerned in the Wild's offense and their ability to do what they need to do?
Overall, we know what our top two lines are going to do. I'm pretty confident when we talked about them, but Alex really just talked about the depth of the team. And last year, I think of Nick Delorier. He was going to be our big fighter. We're like, all right, we're going to use him in the playoffs. We played the Blues, and he's like, all right, I'm going to beat the crap out of this guy. I'm going to beat up this whole team. Then once he got in the playoffs, he was just like skating around. Anyone want to fight? And then everyone was like, oh, no, I really don't. So then he was just skating out of there doing cardio. I mean, he was just out there having fun doing laps. So that's what I'm a little afraid of with if Ryan Reeves goes out there, he'll lay some big hits. I mean, of course, he scored 2 or 3 goals and he was heating up earlier, but I'm afraid if he goes out there, he might get played off the ice. And our big enforcers, if Foligno tries to go fight someone, Reeves tries to go fight someone, even Middleton, I just don't know how that's going to play. And, of course, you're going to have Ben be doing his shenanigans. But I'm concerned with our bottom line. I mean, they don't get much playing time in the playoffs, and it's a faster game. So if we can bring our physicality, I'm very confident.
I have a little story from the episode that I did with Kevin Gorg. He mentioned back in the game against Dallas where Jamie Benn was Jamie Benning, and Reeves went up to him and asked him, you want to dance? And Jamie Benn was like, no, I do not. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that interact one more time. It won't necessarily be Disney on Ice, but it could be electric. But let's talk about special teams. Concerned or confident in the Wild's ability to not get caught on the wrong end of the special teams battle like last year? Jaden, what do you think?
I think it'll be better than last year. Dallas is probably one of the best special teams in the league. They got the 5th best power play and the 3rd best penalty kill, but not by much compared to the Wild. We're top 10 penalty kill also. Power play percentage, we're 15th, but really not that far from them. We've been slipping a lot recently. But I think the biggest thing will be their power play versus our penalty kill, like I said in the last segment. If we can neutralize that with our penalty kill, I think we'll be just fine. Hopefully our power play clicks sometime this series. Kaprizov's back, and I was watching the 2016 series, and the biggest thing that I noticed is we didn't win any faceoffs, so the power plays went to waste, and that's a big thing I'm worried about. Not having Eriksson Ek is not winning the faceoffs, because if you don't win a faceoff, you can't use your power play time. So the faceoffs will be big, but I think last year that penalty kill was horrendous against one of the best power plays in the league, and it showed the whole series. This year, our kill's way better. So if you take out last year, if you take out the bad kill last year, I think we maybe win that series, and I think that could help this series. I think if our penalty kill stays up to pace with what they've been doing against their power play, we'll be just fine going into the series.
We're going to rapid fire this a little bit to get through the rest of them. So, Zach, let's talk goaltending. Are you confident or concerned in Filip Gustavsson and Marc-Andre Fleury to be able to keep the Dallas Stars at bay with that dominant offense they have?
Yeah, I'm extremely confident. I mean, I honestly believe that Gustavsson shouldn't sit. Like, honestly, I don't know. I the whole Fleury experiment last year just flopped, and then they threw Gustavsson in, or sorry, Talbot, or whatever. I'm just
we got you.
Whatever. It was a jumble. That's all it was. And I just hope Gustavsson gets the consistent starts that he has deserved all year. Fleury just didn't show anything last year, and I'm afraid that something wrong is going to happen if Fleury starts again. And I mean, unless Gustavsson loses one of the first two, which I hope he starts both, then he can start to throw in Fleury. But if you can steal one in Dallas early, and it's Gustavsson takes that game, I think it says a lot. So yeah, I'll just leave it as that.
Alex, are you confident or concerned in the ability for this Wild team to make adjustments as the series goes on, which is something that they did not do last year?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I mean, we saw, that they waited until the last possible second to put in Cam Talbot, and that that game was just horrendous. You knew that it wasn't going to go well. So that's the only thing that kind of concerns me is getting outcoached. Craig Berube outcoached Dean last year, but hopefully Dean can learn from that. And there's just you just don't know. There's so many unknowns still because we have some guys that are banged up and they're kind of keeping it close to the vest. Dean said you'll find out tomorrow who the goalie is. So that kind of scares me. You think, I don't know if it's mind games with, trying to get in Peter DeBoer's head, but I'm sure with their film work that they expect Gus to be in net. And so they'll be prepared for him and his tendencies. And so, the big thing is winning the special teams battle. If they can figure that out, they might have to make some adjustments here if Klingberg can't play. I don't know who's going to be on that top power play because Addison's not playing, and so do you put the captain on there? I think that sounds like the most logical person to fill that spot if Klingberg can't play, and so it's going to be interesting. Peter DeBoer's been a head coach for a long time in this league, and so a lot of it comes down to coaching, and hopefully Dean can out coach Mr. DeBoer.
You guys realize we missed out on a Dean Evison Rick Bowness playoff
so close
by a year. Oh, I wish
the memes, yes, especially after what happened. Yeah.
Oh, Dean would have. Dean had that look in his eyes of like,
Bring it on,
come on, make my day. Charles, last one for you, and then we'll break and we'll wrap up. Are you confident or concerned in the ability for Kirill Kaprizov and Jason Robertson to put on an absolute show in the entirety of this series?
I think Kirill Kaprizov solos Jason, if I'm being completely honest. I think Kirill Kaprizov is dropping hammers. I think he's scoring goals and getting passes. I think he's going to cleanse the Stars himself. At the end of the day, being the Minnesota Wild, they say you learn a lot from losses. We have lost a lot, and we should be we should have learned a tremendous amount at this point. Being an organization, being players on the team, we should be ready for war, and I think we will be. And I think Kirill Kaprizov won't allow himself to be shut down like he was 2 years ago in Vegas. I mean, that man was almost invisible until later in the series. Kirill Kaprizov is going to find a way to be open, and we talked on it earlier. Matt Zuccarello needs to be the best version of himself and able to enable Kirill Kaprizov to score, get to open spots, and to score. So I think Jason Robertson will, of course, find an open spot in the ice. I think he will hurt us, but I think Kirill Kaprizov could have better stats at the end of the day.
I love that. Tell you what, we've been going for a healthy amount here, so we're gonna do predictions, and I'll work that second ad break in somewhere. Let's just go through and do predictions of what we think will happen, how many games, and who wins. Jaden, what do you think? Wild Stars, who's coming out on top?
Homer pick, Wild in 7. I think the X factor of the series is Marcus Johansson.
Ooh.
And I think Filip Gustavsson plays the entirety of the series.
I like it. Zach, what do you think?
Honestly, like, something's telling me Dallas in 4. Like, I don't think, but then again, I'm like, but then something's like Wild in 6, and then I can't believe, like, it's either gonna go one or the other. Like, I don't know. Like, obviously, like, the safe bet is Wild in 7, but I just, like, something's gonna happen here. Something's gonna happen. Like, this is the NHL playoffs, so
something's gonna fold. It's gonna be
like something will happen. And as a Wild fan, as a Minnesota fan, I love Wild in 7, but and like reality, I think Dallas has the potential to do it in 6. That's us all. Like, I'm not saying that like, I don't want to be like hated, but I'm just saying, like, don't be shocked if Dallas does it in 6. Just like, don't be shocked. I don't know.
Well, honestly, it is possible because we saw it plenty in the regular season that Dallas does have. They seem to have the number of the Minnesota Wild unless they score like 5 goals in the first period in interesting fashion. But yeah, it is very likely. It could very well be that the Stars are just ready for the task and they just steamroll their way through. But the Wilds could get in the way and cause some problems too. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Gus is the X factor. I think he, like Jane said, I think he gets the majority of the games, and if they're winning, if they steal one, especially early, you keep him in there. I'll go Wild in 7. Dallas is heavily favored, I think, but they have to break through here. It's been so many first round exits. Yeah, I think this team is different than years past. They seem closer. They're finally rid of Parise and Suter, and getting those, getting that culture out of the locker room. And I believe in Gustafsson. He proved me wrong at the beginning of the season, and he had a lot of chips on his shoulder, and he's carried this team when they were struggling offensively and shutting the door down against some of the best teams in the league. And so bring it on. This, like Zach said, something's going to happen in this series, and so hopefully the Wild can get the good bounces this year.
Charles, what do you think?
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to which version of the Minnesota Wild we get. Do we get the passive version that I think you talked on it with Fleury? He lets in one goal that might be an easy save, and then everything starts going in the goal. Or do we get the Minnesota Wild that goes, all right, we're winning this game. We're going to start piecing together some great possession time. We're going to start getting some goals, and we're going to hammer them. And it comes down to game 1. We're terrible in game 1s, but if we take game 1, we will have momentum. Second game's in Dallas. Whether we win or lose that, we're going home then. Games 3 and 4, 1-1 tied. I'm here for that. I just think game 1, we need that game. Yeah, I think Wild in 6. Wild in 6.
Ooh, okay. I'm of the belief that if a team wins it in less than 7, it'll be Dallas. I think if the Wild win it, because the Wild have to steal one in Dallas. And so I think in order for them to win the series, it's going to take the full 7. I think we'll get a couple of overtime games, so it will be uncomfortable watching at some points because you're
heartbeats
just waiting for things to happen. But I think Dean Evison said it best himself.
Yes.
Wild in 7, and my X factor in this series is going to be Gustav Nyquist. I think Gustav Nyquist
like
is
it.
going to have himself a series. So there you
5
have it,
points,
folks.
5 games.
Oh, that'd be 5. I would take 15 points in 7 games. If that's but there you have it, our first ever playoff preview panel. Hope you enjoyed as much as we did recording it, and we'll be with you every step of the way, no matter what the Wild do, win or lose. Many overtime games, none. There won't be any shootouts, at least. So we've got that.
Thank God.
But thank you to everybody for tuning in. Make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Wild so you don't miss out on any content we have for you, whether it be pre or post game or episodes like these. You can follow us on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss out on anything we've got for you. All part of the Locked On Podcast Network.